In the first quarter of 2026, Portland's downtown office vacancy rate climbed to 35%, the highest level ever recorded in the city, according to reporting by Axios and market data from Kidder Matthews. 1 in 3 downtown office buildings sits empty. Oregon was supposed to be the softer version of the American dream. Green forests, moody coastlines, craft coffee, mountain air, quiet streets where people imagined escaping the noise, the heat, the traffic, and the overpriced chaos of bigger states. For years, Oregon looked like the right bet. But here is what they are not telling you. Across Oregon right now, home prices are falling in markets that only recently seemed bulletproof. Wildfire insurance is pricing buyers out of entire zip codes. And in some towns, the moving trucks are no longer arriving. They are leaving. Today, we count down 10 Oregon cities where the housing warning signs are flashing red in 2026. From a rogue valley city where 82% of properties face wildfire risk, to a high desert town where prices have already crashed more than 6%, to Oregon's own largest city, where a third of downtown sits hollow. Wait until we reach number 2. Because that one exposes how badly pandemic money corrupted an entire real estate market. Subscribe to the channel now so you never miss the next housing warning before the crowd catches on. Drive east until the green postcard version of Oregon starts fading into open sky dry hills and that old western silence. That is where Pendleton sits, a town with rodeo history, wool blankets, ranch roads, and the kind of Americana people love to romanticize from a distance. At first glance, it feels sturdy, like a place that should survive anything. But that is the dangerous part. Some towns do not collapse with a loud explosion. They fade out one empty storefront at a time. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Zillow, the average Pendleton home value is $287,461, down 1% over the past year. In a town where Umatilla County household incomes sit well below Oregon's statewide median, a 1% decline is a signal, not a footnote. According to market data from Steadily Homes, are now sitting on the market an average of 25 days, up from 21 days last year. Pendleton's problem is structural. When wages stay flat, while basic expenses keep climbing, the people a town needs, most young families, skilled workers, small business owners start doing the math and finding it does not work. Local household income has not kept pace with the cost of owning or renting in this market. Identity does not pay a mortgage. Nostalgia does not drive demand. On a local Facebook group, a Pendleton homeowner posted this in early 2026. Listed in October, still sitting, dropped the price twice. Our neighbors just pulled theirs off the market entirely. Nobody is buying. That is not a bad agent. That is a market losing confidence faster than sellers are willing to admit. If you bought a median Pendleton home near the late 2020 peak and paid around $275,000, Zillow's current average of $287,000 puts you roughly flat. But flat is the new loss when you factor in property taxes, maintenance costs, and 4 years of mortgage interest. In real terms, you are behind. So if the town's best argument for buying is nostalgia, would you still sign that mortgage today? Keep driving west until the air turns salty, the sky drops lower, and the Pacific starts looking like it is hiding secrets under all that fog. Coos Bay should feel like a coastal jackpot. Water views, fishing boats, old docks, a slower rhythm. The kind of place where someone from a crowded inland city might say, "This is where I want to retire." But the coast has a cruel habit. It can look peaceful while quietly draining your bank account. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin, the median sale price of a home in Coos Bay dropped 8.6% year-over-year, landing at $337,000. In May 2025, 58% of homes sold under the asking price. More than half of sellers had to accept less than what they listed. And according to climate risk data from First Street Foundation, 12% of Coos Bay properties face severe flooding risk over the next 30 years. The city has been part of the National Flood Insurance Program for decades because flooding here is not theoretical. It is historical. Flood insurance is the quiet killer in Coos Bay. When new flood risk maps push premiums higher, lenders get nervous. When lenders get nervous, pre-qualification gets harder. And when buyers cannot get clean financing because of flood zone designations, deals fall apart before they ever reach closing. The ocean view does not come free. It comes with a monthly insurance bill that can redefine the economics of ownership overnight. A buyer who walked away from a Coos Bay coastal property in 2025 described the experience this way: "The house checked every box until the insurance quote came back. We were looking at $1,200 a month just for flood coverage on top of the mortgage. We walked. The sellers were shocked. That is what flood risk does to a real estate deal. It walks in after the offer and leaves with the buyer. If you bought in Coos Bay near the 2022 market peak and paid close to $370,000, Redfin's 8.6% year-over-year decline puts your paper equity down roughly $32,000, not counting interest paid and not counting the rising cost of flood insurance at every renewal cycle. If the ocean view is beautiful, but the flood map is terrifying, and the insurance bill keeps growing, what exactly are you paying for? Now take the long road east out toward the Idaho border, where Oregon begins to feel less like one state and more like a financial argument with a line drawn through it. That is Ontario, a city caught in the strange position of watching money leave without anyone needing to move away. People do not have to pack their bags to weaken the local economy here. They only have to cross the Snake River, spend their cash somewhere else, and come back home after the damage is already done. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. While Ontario's headline median price shows some nominal movement, Redfin data reveals the median sale price per square foot dropped 14.1% year over year. And homes are now sitting on the market an average of 78 days, up from 64 days last year. That is a 22% increase in time on market. When homes sit longer, sellers negotiate more, and the buyers who remain are not the ones with options elsewhere. Ontario sits on a border that works against it. The Idaho line is not just a geographic boundary, it is a tax boundary. Oregon's income tax is among the highest in the nation. Idaho's is lower, so Ontario residents often cross the Snake River to shop, build, and invest. Every dollar spent in Nampa or Caldwell is a dollar not recycling through Ontario's local economy. When spending energy drains out of a town, commercial real estate bleeds first. Then the residential market follows. A small business owner in Ontario told a local outlet in 2025, "I watch people fill their tanks on this side of the river, then drive to Idaho for everything else. My foot traffic is a fraction of what it was 5 years ago." When the economic gravity of a town pulls money toward another state, the residential market is the last thing to notice and the hardest thing to sell once it does. If you bought a median Ontario home 2 years ago, expecting the market to grow with broader Oregon trends, Redfin's 14.1% drop in price per square foot tells you something painful. Your home may be worth less per inch of living space than the day you signed the papers. If the economic gravity of this town is already pulling money toward another state, why would you bet your savings going the other direction? Turn back toward the Umpqua River Valley, and Roseburg appears, with the kind of landscape that makes you understand why people once believed this place could last forever. Rolling hills, forest roads, old mill country. A town that did not build its identity around luxury or image, but around work, real work, timber work, blue-collar work. The kind of work that built houses, fed families, and gave people a reason to stay. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin Roseburg, home prices dropped 12.9% year over year in January 2026, with a median sale price of $305,000. That is the steepest annual decline of any city on this list. And here is the number nobody at the local real estate office is putting on a flyer. 100% of properties in Roseburg carry some level of wildfire risk over the next 30 years, according to First Street Foundation risk data. Roseburg's timber economy never fully rebounded after decades of regulatory shifts that cut harvest volumes. What remained is a lean industrial base, serving a population where wages have not kept pace with the cost of shelter. When the industrial engine weakens, the housing market does not crash immediately. It deflates slowly and then suddenly. A Roseburg homeowner posted in a Douglas County community group in late 2025. We listed in August at $325,000, got one offer lowball. Our insurance carrier dropped us in October. Had to scramble for replacement coverage at almost double the cost. The buyer found out and renegotiated down another $12,000. We accepted because we had no other choice. Wildfire risk is not a future problem in Roseburg. It is a present one already affecting current transactions. If you bought a median Roseburg home in 2022, when prices were elevated near $350,000, Redfin's January 2026, median of $305,000 puts your paper loss at roughly $45,000. Before insurance increases. Before the deals that fell apart because of fire zone reclassifications. If 100% of properties carry wildfire risk and your insurance carrier is already threatening to leave, what does your exit strategy look like? Keep driving south until Oregon stops feeling soft and green and the land opens into a dry basin, where every mile seems to ask the same question: what happens to a town when the water starts running out? That question hangs over Klamath Falls, like dust in the afternoon air. This is where the housing story becomes more than prices, interest rates, and nervous sellers. Here, the crisis touches something older and more basic. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin Klamath County, home prices fell 10.5% year over year in March 2026, with a median sale price of $285,000. Homes are now sitting on the market an average of 63 days, up from 48 days last year, a 31% increase in time on market. And according to First Street Foundation, 99% of properties in Klamath Falls carry wildfire risk over the next 30 years. Water, fire, time. All three are running against this market simultaneously. Klamath County has declared drought disaster more frequently than any other county in Oregon, according to county records. When crops fail, farming households cut spending. When farming households cut spending, local retail suffers. When local retail suffers, service jobs thin out. And when jobs thin out, the buyers who were supposed to absorb new listings quietly leave and take the demand with them. A farmer outside Klamath Falls described 2025 this way: "We got 60% of our water allocation this year. I am not expanding. I am not hiring. I am trying to hold on." That farmer is not buying a bigger house. And neither is anyone working for him. If you bought a median Klamath Falls home in early 2024 at approximately $320,000, the current Redfin median of $285,000, down 10.5%, puts your paper equity loss at roughly $35,000 in roughly 2 years. In a market where the water supply is in structural decline and wildfire risk covers nearly the entire city. If the town's economic foundation literally depends on water and the water keeps running short, what is the long-term value of a home sitting on top of that equation? Cruise back up Interstate 5 into the Rogue Valley, and Grants Pass almost tricks you at first. The river is still beautiful. The hills still catch the light. The downtown still has that small-town Oregon charm that makes visitors slow down, look around, and imagine a quieter life. This is the kind of place people once connected with rafting trips, retirement dreams, and weekends that felt far away from the stress of bigger cities. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. The city of Grants Pass became the center of a U.S. Supreme Court case in 2024, City of Grants Pass versus Johnson, on the criminalization of homelessness. According to reporting by OPB, there are approximately 500 to 600 homeless individuals living in a city of fewer than 40,000 residents. After the city expanded its main homeless encampment, nearby residents reported a sharp increase in trespassing and property crime, according to local station KDRV. That is not a social commentary. That is a financial signal that shows up directly in buyer hesitation. A housing market runs on confidence. When buyers drive into a neighborhood and feel tension before they feel comfort, the decision changes. A Grants Pass home may still be priced like a peaceful river town. But if the perception gap between the listing photo and the reality on the ground grows wide enough, buyers stop signing. And sellers who refuse to acknowledge the gap keep cutting the price until someone finally does. A retiree who relocated to Grants Pass in 2022 and listed their home in 2025 told their real estate agent, "We love the river, but the last 2 years have been hard. We feel like we made a mistake." Their home sat on the market for 94 days before they accepted below asking. The river was the same. The city around it had changed. If you bought a median Grants Pass home in 2022 near $340,000 and the current average sits around $360,000, the nominal gain looks flat to modest on paper. But adjusted for inflation and 4 years of ownership costs, including property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, many owners in this market are running flat to negative in real terms. That is before factoring in the buyer hesitation now baked into this market. If the dream was a quiet river town and the reality is a city at the center of a Supreme Court, homelessness ruling, would you still buy here today? Subscribe now, because number 4 through number 1 are where the real damage gets ugly. Cross the river from Eugene and Springfield feels like the town everyone depends on, but few people bother to romanticize. It is not polished in the way a university city tries to be polished. It does not sell itself with glossy lifestyle brochures or boutique slogans. Springfield feels more direct than that. Work boots, industrial roads, older neighborhoods, families who are used to earning every dollar before they spend it. And that is exactly why the pressure here feels so unfair. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. The median sale price of a home in Springfield sits at approximately $422,000 as of the most recent Redfin data. But the real story is not the headline price. It is the affordability math. Springfield's working-class wage base has not kept pace with that $422,000 number. Homes are sitting on the market an average of 36 to 42 days, a market that is slowing at the edges, even if it has not fallen yet. In blue-collar neighborhoods, specifically, the list-to-sold ratio is softening month over month. Springfield's industrial base is hollowing out quietly. The manufacturing sector that once gave working families a reliable path to a mortgage is not carrying the same weight it did a generation ago. When factory jobs thin out, the people most likely to buy starter homes start renting instead. And when the rental market fills up with people who would normally buy starter inventory stalls, and the confidence that drives real estate forward drains out one household at a time. A machinist who has lived in Springfield for 20 years described his situation in a Lane County community forum in early 2026. "My kids cannot afford to buy here. They make decent money, but this market is still priced for someone earning Eugene tech salaries. They are renting from landlords who are charging what the market will bear, not what Springfield wages will support." When the town's own workers cannot afford the town's own housing, the buyer pool is already shrinking. If you bought a Springfield home at $450,000 near the 2023 peak, and today's median is $422,000, you are already looking at a $28,000 decline in paper value in a town where the wage floor makes a future buyer pool smaller every year. If the town's economic backbone cannot support the price you paid, who exactly is going to buy it from you at a profit when you are ready to leave? Keep heading south into the Rogue Valley, and Medford greets you with a strange kind of tension. On the surface, it still looks like a functioning city. Subdivisions stretch out under the hills. Shopping centers are open. Cars move through the intersections. Life appears normal enough if you are only passing through. But anyone paying attention can feel the anxiety sitting in the air, sometimes literally. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin Medford, home prices dropped 2.4% year over year in the 3 months ending May 2026, with a median sale price of $415,000. Zillow confirms the direction, down 3.2%, with an average home value of $399,169. And the days on market in North Medford now average 64 days, up from 41 days last year. That is a 56% increase in the time a seller has to wait for a buyer who does not walk away first. Then there is the number that nobody is advertising in the listing description. According to First Street Foundation, 82% of properties in Medford carry wildfire risk over the next 30 years. That is 4 out of every 5 homes. When insurance companies run their models on 82% wildfire exposure across a metro area, premiums go up. Some carriers exit the market entirely. And when buyers cannot get standard homeowners insurance at standard rates, lenders cannot close the loan. Deals fall apart, not because the buyer changed their mind, but because the underwriter ran the fire map and said no. A Medford buyer who closed on a home in 2024 posted this in a Southern Oregon community group: "We closed." Then 30 days later, our insurance company sent a non-renewal notice. Had to scramble to find a new policy, ended up paying 40% more. Nobody warned us this was going to happen. The fire risk does not disappear after you sign. It follows you into ownership every renewal cycle. If you bought a median Medford home at $430,000 12 months ago, and the current Zillow average is $399,169, your paper equity is already down approximately $31,000. And your insurance bill is higher than the day you moved in. If 82% of homes in this city are one dry summer away from an insurance crisis, what is the plan for protecting your biggest asset? Now pull into Bend, and at first it almost feels unfair to criticize it. The mountains are gorgeous. The air is crisp. The breweries, trails, river paths, and luxury cabins all work together like a lifestyle advertisement designed in a tech company conference room. And that is exactly the problem. Bend did not just become popular, it became a fantasy product. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. According to Redfin Bend, home prices dropped 6.4% year over year in the 3 months ending May 2026, selling for a median price of $704,000. Zillow confirms the direction, down 6.1% over the past year. After peak listing prices approached $875,000 during the pandemic boom, Bend's median has shed more than $150,000 from its high. According to local market data, active listings have risen to between 650 and 750 homes, 3.5 to 3.8 months of supply. The most buyer-favorable inventory Bend has seen in years. Which sounds good for buyers, until you understand what it means for everyone who bought near the top. Bend did not price itself for local wages. It priced itself for remote workers with coastal salaries. When cheap money dried up and remote work reversals sent some of those earners back to their company cities, the demand that inflated Bend's market walked out the door. What remained was a town where service workers, teachers, and long-term residents had already been priced to the edge, and a luxury inventory that suddenly had no one to absorb it at peak prices. A Bend short-term rental investor who bought in 2021 described their situation to a Central Oregon outlet in 2025. "We bought at $810,000. Cash flow was fine when occupancy stayed above 80%. Then rates went up. Then guests got pickier. Now we are at 62% occupancy, and the carrying cost is suffocating. We listed the property and got one showing in 3 weeks." The math that worked at the top is a different equation when the market moves underneath you. If you bought a median Bend home in 2022 at $850,000, which was achievable at peak, and the current Redfin median is $704,000, your paper loss is $146,000. Add 4 years of mortgage interest on a jumbo loan, and the total cost of ownership significantly exceeds what the market will give you back right now. If the town was priced for a fantasy that remote work could replace local economic gravity, and that fantasy is unwinding, what does your exit look like when every other seller is asking the same question at the same time? Finally, the road brings us into Portland, the city that once felt like Oregon's cultural heartbeat. This was the place people used to describe with a certain affection: strange, creative, independent, a little chaotic but alive. Food carts, bookstores, coffee shops, music venues, bikes, bridges, old neighborhoods, rainy sidewalks. Portland had an identity so strong that people moved there just to belong to the mood. But now the mood has changed. And in some parts of the city, the silence feels louder than the traffic. But here is what the real estate agents are not showing you. Portland's downtown office vacancy rate hit 35% in the first quarter of 2026, according to data reported by Axios and analysis from Kidder Matthews, the highest rate ever recorded for the city. 1 in 3 downtown office buildings is empty. The average home value in Portland is $546,302, down 0.6% over the past year, according to Zillow. And according to HFO Investment Real Estate, Portland's residential rental vacancy rate hit 7.6% in early 2026, with affordable unit vacancy running even higher at 11%, leaving nearly 2,000 subsidized units sitting unused, while the city says it has an affordability crisis. An empty city is not a safe investment. A city's residential market depends on the health of its commercial core. When offices stay empty, lunch counters lose customers. When restaurants close, retail follows. When retail leaves, streets feel emptier. When streets feel emptier, buyers hesitate. When buyers hesitate, sellers cut. Portland's office vacancy problem is not a post-pandemic blip. It is a structural wound that is now transferring its weight onto the residential market, one dark window at a time. A downtown Portland condo owner who bought in 2021 posted this in early 2026. "Unit is worth less than what I paid. HOA fees went up 18% last year. Property taxes did not go down. The building across the street has been vacant for 2 years. I cannot sell without taking a loss, and I cannot hold without bleeding cash every month. There is no good option right now." The condo is still standing. The investment is not. If you bought a downtown Portland condo at the 2021 peak, where median condo prices ran near $400,000, and the current median sits at approximately $365,000, your paper equity is already down $35,000. Add rising HOA fees, property taxes that have not fallen with the market, and the carrying cost of a unit surrounded by 35% office vacancy. The math does not close. If the largest city in Oregon cannot keep its downtown core alive, and 1 in 3 office buildings is empty, what exactly is holding up the value of your condo on the 14th floor? So that is the road through Oregon's 2026 housing warning map. 10 cities, 10 different stories, but one pattern. Prices are falling in Roseburg, Klamath Falls, Bend, and Medford. Insurance is becoming a deal breaker in wildfire zones that cover most of the state. Water is the slow-burning crisis in the south. Remote work money has stopped arriving in the high desert. And Portland's commercial core is hollowing out in ways that residential brokers are not advertising in their listing descriptions. Beauty does not pay the mortgage. Scenery does not lower insurance. A charming river town does not replace structural job losses. And a lifestyle brand cannot protect your savings when the market finally admits the math never worked. That is the real warning for 2026. Oregon is not collapsing in one dramatic scene. It is hollowing out quietly, one price cut, one canceled sale, one insurance non-renewal, one moving truck leaving. The Pacific Northwest dream is still beautiful from a distance. But up close, the data is already whispering something the listing photos will not show you. The warning signs were always there. The question is, were you watching? Subscribe, share this with someone who needs to see it, and drop your city in the comments below.